All right, guys. Welcome to Tanking with Tony. Um, I think commentaries are a pretty difficult thing to do. I have a lot of respect for the guys that do them and do them well because phew, you've really got to have something fun and unique. People don't need to hear me talk and explain step by step what's happening in a replay. You can watch it pretty easily as yourself. I'm going to take this time, since I have you as a captive audience, to talk about an issue that's near and dear to my heart, and that is post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. I've been a first responder and a fireman for 20 years. Um, I'm a firefighter paramedic, and I have seen things that no human eye should have to see, and it has led to some pretty significant PTSD in my life that was just recently diagnosed about a year and a half ago, and I've been attempting to manage it through therapy. Um, when you hear PTSD, I think it's quite common, and rightfully so, to be immediately think of soldiers, combat soldiers specifically, and that is rightfully so because of the things that those guys face and see, um, that have led to pretty significant suicide rates among our soldiers, which is wholly sad that we haven't before now. Just recently starting to take care of these guys the way we need to be taking care of them. But I think the most important thing, the point I want to make from this video, is that PTSD is not a soldier issue. It really isn't even a first responder issue. It's a trauma issue. Any of us, as we go through life, all of us, frankly, as we go through life, are going to experience trauma. It could be the loss of a loved one. It could be an assault we witnessed or have it happen to us, rape victims. Any kind of trauma in your life can lead to PTSD symptoms. There can be levels of PTSD, severity levels. You can have mild symptoms, you can have severe symptoms, you can have life ending symptoms. The suicide rate among firefighters and first responders has skyrocketed in the last 10 years, and I think we're finally coming to grips in my profession, excuse me, with what PTSD is doing to us. But again, I just want to really, really reiterate that this is not an issue that you have to see horrendous stuff every day to experience. It could be a one-time event in your life that causes PTSD symptoms. Some of the symptoms that affect people when they are having PTSD, the number one, not number one, I'm not a medical professional. I'm just going to tell you about my own experiences, is anxiety. Mine started with anxiety attacks, hyperventilation, fast heart rate, feeling really shaky, kind of like after you've been scared really bad, either in like a movie or somebody jumps out from behind a corner. You get that huge adrenaline rush and you're shaky and you're like, oh my gosh, and your heart's pounding. Well, with PTSD, when that comes on, it doesn't go away, and you might have it for hours on end, and it can be really scary. Some of the other symptoms include flashbacks to the event itself, nightmares. For myself, when the symptoms got really bad for me personally, I had about a 1 week, 7-day period where I slept probably a grand total of less than 12 hours in 7 days, because the nightmares were so severe and so repetitive that every time I fell asleep, I was having these god awful nightmares, and I would wake up in a cold sweat, unable to go back to sleep. So, but again, I'm sharing my own story because I feel it's so important to start dealing with this disorder in a real way, society wide. And that's why I'm saying this doesn't have to be a soldier issue. This is not a first cop, fireman, people that see horrendous thing issue. This can be anybody. This could be a real life thing for any single person that has a single traumatic event in their life. I really want to make sure that we destigmatize what PTSD is. It is not a sign of weakness. It is not a sign of you're not capable of handling things. Like I said, I've been in this business for 20 years, and I've seen a whole lot of god-awful stuff. And I still am able to function at my job. I still love my job, but I have to manage my PTSD symptoms. Therapy has helped immensely. It has helped me, given me the tools to manage my PTSD. The thing about PTSD is that it's not curable. It doesn't go away, but you are able through the proper training and therapy manage your symptoms and manage them very well. I still have all of the things that I've talked about so far, but I'm able to manage them and limit how much they affect my life. Um, One of the unfortunate things about PTSD that is very common for people to turn to drugs and alcohol, which can then turn into obviously um, a drug or alcoholic situation or a drug addict situation. Because frankly, when you're going through the worst parts of PTSD, all you want is to feel normal. And alcohol is the most common and freely available drug, legal freely available drug to people to use, so that becomes a very common thread among people who have PTSD. Um, in my community where I work, not in my own department, but in neighboring departments, there have been 2 suicides in the last 3 weeks. There's been over 130 suicides by firemen and paramedics nationwide this year alone. So this is a very real issue. And I think we're really just now kind of coming to grips with what PTSD is and how it can affect people's lives. So I appreciate you listening. I'm going to put some links to some resources in the video, phone numbers that you can call. These are not, I am not a therapist. I am not a medical professional other than being a paramedic. I'm not a medical professional when it comes to the psychological issues that we're talking about here, because these are real brain chemistry issues. This affects your brain chemistry. Um, this is not something, again, that you can choose to have or not have. You can't say, well, that's not going to affect me. That's not how it works. This is a brain chemistry issue, and um, you don't have any choice in this. If you experience a really bad trauma, there's a very good likelihood that you will have some or all of these symptoms in varying levels or degrees. The biggest part of getting through PTSD is getting the proper treatment, is seeking the medical professional help of people who are trained to deal with PTSD. So I am going to put some resource numbers and some links of places that I've gotten information from as I've dealt with this in my own life. I appreciate you guys listening and taking the time. My encouragement to you is, if you are experiencing some or any combination of the symptoms that I've talked about in this video, seek help. Um, it sounds corny. Um, it seems, I know I went through a period where I felt like I was weak and unable to handle the stress of my job, and that's a really common thread that you'll hear people with PTSD. It's just stress. I just need to handle it better. No, it is an actual disorder of the brain that can become life-threatening if not properly managed. So I appreciate you listening. I appreciate taking the time, if you've made it to this point, to listen to my soapbox, and I hope you health and well-being. And if you are struggling with these things, please seek help. Use resources available to you, whether it's through your employment or through family, whatever it would be. Seek the help that you need. You have the right to live a good life, and you can live a good life even with PTSD, because I'm doing it. And I appreciate you guys listening, and we'll catch you next time.